Hey, tonight we're heading somewhere warm, wild, and wonderfully dry. The African savanna. Not the roaring lion documentaries or fast paced safari scenes, but the real savanna, where grass sways for miles, trees grow like sculptures, and animals live by rhythms older than memory. You might think it's just dry land and dust, but trust me, it's a world full of quiet survival, slow beauty, and strange adaptations. If you're enjoying these stories, I'd really appreciate a quick like or even a subscribe. It helps more than you know. I'm always curious where you all are listening from, so drop a comment with your location and what time it is there. I love seeing our little global community grow. Quietly, one sleepy listener at a time. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's begin tonight's slow journey into the heart of the savanna. Tonight, we begin by understanding what exactly a savanna is. While the term might bring to mind images of golden grass, scattered trees, and perhaps a lone elephant walking across a dusty horizon, the real definition of a savanna is much more intricate and subtle, shaped by millennia of climate, soil, and survival. A savanna is a type of ecosystem characterized by a mix of open grassland and sparse tree cover. It is neither a desert nor a forest, but a transition, a place in between. The word savanna itself comes from the Spanish sabana, which traces back to indigenous Caribbean words meaning treeless plain. And yet, savannas are not truly treeless. They host trees, but the trees are scattered, creating a landscape that feels open, expansive, and vulnerable to the sky. The defining feature of a savanna is its climate. Savannas typically exist in regions with a pronounced seasonal cycle, a long dry season and a short, intense rainy season. During the dry months, water becomes scarce, the grasses turn yellow and brittle, trees shed leaves, and many animals migrate or burrow to conserve energy. But then the rains come, sometimes suddenly, almost violently. The dry land drinks deeply, and within days, what was dusty and lifeless bursts into green. This cycle of rain and drought governs everything. The grasses of the savanna have adapted to survive it, with deep roots and rapid growth. Fire, too, plays a crucial role. Unlike in forests where fire can be catastrophic, in savannas, fire is part of the rhythm. It clears dead grass, recycles nutrients into the soil, and even triggers the germination of certain plants. Animals have learned to live with fire, to run from it, or wait for it to pass. Savannas are found on nearly every continent, but Africa holds the most iconic and expansive examples, like the Serengeti in Tanzania or the Kruger region in South Africa. Other savannas stretch across northern Australia, South America, especially in Brazil, and even parts of India. Despite being geographically distant, these savannas share similar traits: seasonal rains, open grasslands, and a community of species adapted to thrive under the sun. The soil of the savanna tells its own story. Often reddish or sandy, it is usually low in nutrients due to leaching during the rainy season. This poor soil, paradoxically, helps keep the trees from becoming too dominant. Grasses, with their resilience and ability to grow quickly even in low-quality soil, take over. This gives the savanna its signature appearance: endless waves of grass with the occasional tree standing like a sentinel. Among these trees, a few species stand out. The acacia, with its wide umbrella canopy and thorny branches, is both iconic and practical, providing shade for animals and protection from grazers. The baobab, with its thick trunk and ghostly silhouette, stores water in its massive bark, surviving droughts that would kill other trees. These trees are not merely scenery, they are engineers of the ecosystem, supporting birds, insects, and mammals alike. Savannas also hold a delicate balance between competition and cooperation. Grazing animals such as zebras, antelope, and wildebeest share space with predators like lions, leopards, and hyenas. Birds follow large animals to feed on stirred-up insects. Elephants knock down trees, unintentionally maintaining the open character of the land. Everything has its place, and the interactions, though sometimes harsh, create a dynamic equilibrium. And there is something deeply calming about the savanna. Perhaps it is the space, the openness, the silence interrupted only by wind or distant animal calls, or perhaps it is the feeling of time stretching out, with grasses that burn and return, with animals following ancient migratory paths, and with the land itself always shifting, yet somehow staying the same. As we rest here tonight, let your thoughts drift across that wide plain. Imagine the dry breeze, the rustle of tall grass, and the distant shape of something walking slowly under a fading sun. This is the savanna, a space between extremes where survival is quiet and beauty is slow. Let's pause here, and when you're ready, we'll move on to what lies just above it all, the African sky. There are trees, and then there are baobabs. Tonight, we sit beside one, massive, still, silent. The baobab tree doesn't grow so much as it settles into the land. It appears ancient even when young, with a presence that feels more like stone than plant. Its trunk can reach a diameter of over 30 feet, thick and swollen like a water tower, which is precisely what it becomes during dry months. Inside that fibrous bark, baobabs store water, thousands of liters, a reservoir for life in a thirsty world. You've likely seen pictures of them, short branches jutting awkwardly from the top like roots. This has led to the nickname, the upside-down tree, a fitting metaphor not just for appearance, but for function. While most trees reach for the sky, the baobab seems to pull the sky down to it, anchoring light and silence in equal measure. Found across the savannas of Africa, the baobab plays many roles. For animals, it provides food and shelter. Its leaves are rich in nutrients. Its flowers, large and pale, bloom at dusk and attract fruit bats, vital pollinators in the nighttime economy of the savanna. The fruit it bears, often called monkey bread, is high in vitamin C and calcium. Animals, and people, depend on it. To humans, the baobab has been a tree of myth and necessity. Some trunks are hollowed naturally or by time, becoming places of shelter, storage, or even tombs. In some villages, baobabs have been used as meeting halls or prisons. In others, they are sacred. Legends swirl around their origins. One tale says the gods planted the tree upside down as punishment for its pride. It grows incredibly slowly. A baobab may live for over 1,000 years, and in that time, it becomes a memory keeper. People gather near it. Generations are born in its shade. Events are remembered because they happened by the baobab. The tree itself seems immune to time. It doesn't have rings like temperate trees, so counting its years is difficult. Instead, it just is, present, eternal. There is something comforting about that in a world so filled with speed and change. Baobabs are also resilient. They withstand fire. They regrow bark after damage. Their shape changes slowly over time, but they endure where others fall. In dry years, they seem to wait. In rainy years, they bloom quietly. Their roots stretch deep. Their silence is their strength. And if you were to stand beside one now, late at night, with the stars above and the grasses moving softly in the wind, you might hear nothing, but you would feel something. A slow pulse, a grounded calm, a quiet older than words. So tonight, as you rest, picture that tree. Its vast trunk, its pale flowers, the soft pad of a hyena passing nearby, the low wind brushing against bark. This is the baobab, the great witness of the savanna. And next, we'll descend from the stillness of the tree to something far smaller, but just as mighty, the termite mound. Tonight, let's shift our gaze from the towering baobabs to something far smaller in stature, but no less significant: termite mounds. These structures rise from the ground like natural monuments, some just a foot tall, others soaring up to 30 feet. If the baobab is the elder of the savanna, the termite mound is its silent architect, unseen, unassuming, but absolutely essential. At first glance, a termite mound might look like nothing more than a curious pile of dirt. But if you were to pause, sit beside one, and simply observe, you would begin to notice the hum of activity. These mounds are home to millions of termites working tirelessly in darkness to build, repair, and regulate their towering homes. Their efforts are invisible from the outside, but within, there is a complexity that rivals our most advanced buildings. The architecture of a termite mound is nothing short of genius. Built from a mixture of soil, saliva, and dung, the walls are strong and insulating. Inside, an intricate network of tunnels and chambers houses the colony. Nurseries, food storage areas, and even fungus gardens, which the termites cultivate to help break down tough plant matter. At the center, protected and revered, is the queen, a massive egg-laying machine whose sole purpose is to ensure the colony's survival. But perhaps the most astonishing feature of termite mounds is their climate control. These insects, blind and tiny, have figured out how to ventilate their homes. Narrow shafts draw in cool air, while warm air rises and escapes, keeping the temperature and humidity stable despite the scorching heat outside. It is, quite literally, air conditioning made of dirt. These structures also influence the environment around them. Termite activity enriches the soil, allowing grasses and shrubs to grow more vigorously near the mounds. Their tunnels aerate the earth, improving water absorption. Birds perch atop mounds for a better view. Small mammals use them as shelter. In every sense, the termite mound is a hub of life. In some savannas, mounds are so common they seem to form a pattern, spaced out evenly, like thoughtful punctuation marks in the grass. Researchers have studied these patterns, marveling at how such tiny creatures can shape the landscape with such symmetry. And when the rains come and wash over the land, the mounds endure. They resist erosion. They stand tall where even stone can crumble. Culturally, termite mounds have long intrigued local communities. In some African traditions, they are seen as sacred or mysterious. Stories speak of spirits dwelling within, of ancestors watching from beneath the soil. Some believe disturbing a mound brings bad luck, and others leave offerings nearby to show respect. And if you listen closely, not with your ears, but with your presence, you might sense the rhythm inside. The tiny feet, the soft rustle, the constant movement. It is a world hidden in plain sight, a reminder that not all greatness shouts. Some of it whispers beneath your feet. So tonight, as you settle in, picture the savanna from a lower angle. Imagine the vastness of the grass, the cool earth beneath your hands, and a mound rising quietly beside you. Inside, life continues, slow, efficient, unseen. It is one of nature's quiet miracles. Next, we'll lift our eyes once again, this time to a creature larger and wiser than most, the elephant, and its astonishing memory. Tonight we walk alongside giants, not the towering trees or the vast skies, but the ones who move slowly through the grasses, heavy and thoughtful. The elephants. There is something unmistakably ancient about an elephant. Their slow steps seem measured by time itself. Their eyes hold a quiet depth, as though they've seen not just the world, but remembered it. Elephants are the memory keepers of the savanna, and not just in myth or metaphor. Science confirms what stories have long said. Elephants remember. They remember water. In a land where rainfall is seasonal and rivers vanish for months, memory is survival. Matriarchs, the wise elder females who lead the herds, carry in their minds the locations of distant watering holes and ancient migration routes. In times of drought, when the land cracks and the grasses fade to dust, these matriarchs guide their families to places unseen for years, sometimes decades. And remarkably, they find them. They remember each other. Elephant families are close-knit and emotional. Calves are raised not just by their mothers, but by aunties and older siblings in the herd. They touch each other constantly, with trunks, with bodies, in gestures of comfort, curiosity, or connection. When separated, they call out in low rumbles that can travel for miles. And when reunited, even after long absences, they greet each other with excitement and recognition. They remember loss. There are countless observations of elephants pausing at the bones of fallen relatives, gently touching them with their trunks, standing silently for long moments. Some return to the same spot, year after year. While we cannot know their exact thoughts, the reverence is clear. These are creatures who notice absence, who mark the passage of those they knew. Their memory extends beyond relationships and water. They remember landscapes, human faces, even specific dangers. In areas where elephants have been hunted, they are more cautious and avoidant. In reserves where they are protected, they move more freely. Some researchers believe that elephants can distinguish between different human languages, even recognizing which ones belong to cultures that pose a threat. But memory is not all they carry. Elephants are shapers of the land. As they move, they trample paths that become roads for other animals. They break branches and uproot trees, keeping the savanna open and maintaining the balance between grassland and woodland. Their dung spreads seeds across vast distances. They are, quite literally, gardeners of the ecosystem. Their trunks, long and flexible, are tools of astonishing precision. An elephant can lift a tree trunk or pick up a single blade of grass. It can trumpet loudly in warning or wrap around the trunk of a calf in reassurance. The trunk smells, touches, drinks, and expresses. It is one of the most sensitive instruments in the animal world. At night, elephants often rest standing. Sometimes they lie down, but not for long. They are too large, too vulnerable. Instead, they doze beneath the stars, swaying gently, half asleep, half aware. Their dreams, if they have them, are silent and secret. In folklore, elephants are symbols of wisdom, strength, and patience. In the savanna, they are all that and more. They are keepers of time, movers of earth, holders of history. So as you drift off tonight, imagine standing near a herd, the low hum of their voices vibrating through the ground, the slow crunch of grass beneath massive feet, a calf brushing against its mother, a matriarch looking ahead, not just to the horizon, but into memory itself. And next, we'll turn to a quieter figure, moving high above on gentle legs, the giraffe, and its slow, graceful rhythm. In the orchestra of the savanna, some animals roar, others stampede, some vanish into the underbrush, but the giraffe glides. Tonight, let your thoughts rise as we follow the tallest land animal on Earth, with legs that seem too long, a neck that stretches impossibly high, and movements that teeter between awkward and poetic. The giraffe is a wonder not only of anatomy, but of presence. It doesn't hurry, it doesn't sneak, it simply walks, as though the earth belongs to it. Giraffes can reach heights of nearly 20 feet, with their long necks making up almost half that measure. And yet, for all that height, they are silent travelers. Their footsteps make little sound. They browse among the acacia trees, pulling leaves delicately with long, purple-black tongues that can extend over 18 inches. Even the thorns of the acacia do not deter them. Evolution has shaped their mouths, tongues, and digestive systems to work in concert with the land. Unlike what many assume, giraffes do not have extra neck vertebrae. They have the same number as humans, 7, only each bone is greatly elongated. These bones give the giraffe its signature silhouette, but also allow it to reach food that most other herbivores cannot. In the dry season, this ability to browse higher offers an advantage when grass is scarce and trees are the only source of nourishment. But their height is not without challenge. Drinking water, for instance, requires them to splay their front legs wide apart and lower their necks, placing them in a vulnerable position. During such moments, giraffes remain hyper alert, relying on their excellent vision and the vigilance of nearby herd members to detect predators. They may seem gentle, even fragile, but a giraffe can deliver a powerful kick strong enough to deter lions. Socially, giraffes live in loose, open herds, often shifting in number and composition. There is no strong hierarchy, no complex dominance. They move as they please, sometimes in groups, sometimes alone. Males engage in a peculiar ritual known as necking, where they swing their long necks at each other in slow-motion combat. It looks almost comical, but these contests can be intense, and the victor earns mating rights. There is a rhythm to their movement, a kind of gentle syncopation. When they walk, their legs move in unison on each side, right front and right back, then left front and left back, creating a swaying motion that is unlike any other animal. When they run, they can reach speeds of up to 35 miles per hour, galloping in a way that seems to defy their size, yet even then, they look serene, as though floating rather than fleeing. The giraffe's coat is another marvel. Each giraffe has a unique pattern of patches and spots, much like a human fingerprint. These patterns are not merely aesthetic, they help with camouflage in the dappled light of the savanna. The patterns may also play a role in thermoregulation and social signaling. Beneath the skin, their circulatory system is specially adapted to handle the challenge of pumping blood up their long necks and down again without causing faintness or damage. Giraffes are also remarkably quiet. They do make sounds, low-frequency humming, grunts, and snorts. But most communication happens through body language, gaze, and proximity. This silence, combined with their steady motion, gives them an almost meditative presence. In many cultures, giraffes are symbols of peace, grace, and vision. They are seen as gentle giants, messengers of calm. Their towering view gives them perspective, and their slow steps remind us that not all journeys need to be hurried. So as you wind down tonight, imagine the world from a giraffe's point of view. Trees just within reach, a breeze brushing your face far above the ground, the sun setting in long, stretched out light. Below, the savanna continues its dance, and above, the giraffe moves through it all, slowly, silently, with dignity. Next, we'll descend to the earth once again to explore the unsung rhythm of the savanna, the endless cycle of grass. Tonight, we look down, not in sadness, but in reverence. The grasses of the savanna are often overlooked, quite literally. They are underfoot, commonplace, passed over in favor of animals or trees, yet they are the foundation of everything. Without the grass, the savanna would not breathe, it would not feed, it would not endure. Tonight we honor the quiet cycle of grass. Savanna grasses are survivors. They live not in luxury, but in rhythm. A rhythm of heat, of drought, of flood, of fire. These grasses are adapted to thrive in poor soil, with little water and under constant pressure from grazers in the sun. Their growth is fast, their roots deep, their purpose communal. They do not stand alone. They cover, they shelter, they feed. There are hundreds of species, but many share a common trait. They grow from the base rather than the tip. This allows them to be grazed again and again without dying. A zebra bites, and the grass returns. A wildebeest chews, and the grass continues. Even when burnt by seasonal fires, they rise again, green and alive within days. They have learned over eons how to persist. This persistence forms the heart of the savanna's food chain. From insects to elephants, nearly every creature depends on grass directly or indirectly. Grazers consume it. Predators consume the grazers, and the entire cycle turns on these slender green blades. Grass also shapes the land itself. Its roots hold the soil together, preventing erosion. When the rains arrive, grass slows the runoff, allowing water to soak in rather than wash away. When fire sweeps across the plain, grass burns quickly and cleanly, clearing old growth and nourishing the soil below. It is a cycle not of destruction, but of renewal. And grass is democratic. It grows everywhere. It doesn't seek to be tall or commanding. It moves with the wind, bends without breaking. It listens. It covers the ground with patience. Unlike trees that compete for sunlight, grasses spread together, forming waves of life. During the dry season, grasses fade to gold. They become brittle, crackling underfoot, their seeds scattered by hoof and breeze. Some die back entirely, leaving only roots behind. But those roots are enough. When the rains return, the savanna shifts almost overnight. A landscape of beige and gray becomes lush and vibrant. Animals return. Insects hum. Flowers bloom between the blades. The land breathes again. To the trained eye, different grasses tell different stories. Some grow in disturbed soil, marking where animals have passed. Others indicate fertile patches. The presence or absence of certain grasses can tell you whether the rains were early, whether fire has been absent, or whether overgrazing has occurred. In this way, the grass is both life and language. Even after death, grass matters. Dead grass feeds the soil, becomes bedding, forms shelter. In some human communities, grasses are woven into roofs, mats, baskets. They are burned for warmth, tied for ritual, and admired for their flexibility. Perhaps the most poetic thing about grass is its humility. It does not demand attention, it does not dazzle with color or size, but it returns again and again, holding the world together under our feet. It is the backdrop to drama, the platform for motion, the quiet giver. So as you drift toward sleep, imagine lying in tall grass. It rustles softly in the breeze. The scent is warm, dry, earthy. The ground beneath you holds memory. Above, the sky stretches without edge. Around you, life moves because the grass allows it. Next, we'll explore the unexpected behavior of those who seem to do nothing at all. The predators at rest. When we think of predators, we often imagine motion. The sudden leap of a lion, the silent stalk of a leopard, the relentless endurance of a wild dog pack. And yet, for most of the day and most of their lives, predators do something entirely unexpected. They rest. Tonight we draw closer, not to the thrill of the chase, but to the stillness that surrounds it. In the savannah, where survival is a game of energy and timing, rest is not laziness, it is strategy. Let us begin with the lion, the most iconic predator of the African plains. Lions sleep for up to 20 hours a day. Yes, 20. They lounge beneath trees, stretch in the shade, yawn wide-mouthed into the wind. Their bodies rise and fall slowly, their eyes half-lidded. This is the side of lions few people see. Not the hunters, but the sleepers. Why do they rest so much? The answer lies in biology. Hunting is hard work. A lion's sprint is short and explosive, consuming tremendous energy. Their success rate is relatively low, meaning effort is often spent without reward. To survive, lions must conserve energy for when it matters. The savannah is not forgiving. Every movement costs something. The lion's rest is communal. They lie in groups, touching, overlapping. Cubs climb over mothers. Young males stretch together under trees. There is a comfort in the pride's closeness, and that comfort is part of their strength. Unlike other big cats, lions are social. They bond not just for reproduction or territory, but for security and care. Now picture a leopard, the solitary shadow. Unlike the lion, the leopard prefers to be alone. Its rest is often spent hidden, in trees, in thick brush, on rocky outcrops. Leopards are masters of invisibility. Their spots mimic the dappled light of leaves. A resting leopard may be just feet from you, and you would never know. Leopards rest to observe. They watch with half-closed eyes, alert to every rustle. Their stillness is tactical, a waiting game. They hunt not with force, but with timing. Their energy is precise, directed. One pounce, one bite. Rest is the space between decisions. Cheetahs, the fastest land animals, live at the edge of fragility. Their bodies are built for speed, not strength. They cannot defend kills from other predators. They rely on bursts of motion and long stretches of rest. Under trees or in tall grass, they lie with heads up, scanning. A cheetah cannot afford injury, so they rest cautiously, legs always ready. Then there are the hyenas. Often misunderstood, often labeled as scavengers, hyenas are actually skilled hunters, but they too rest. In burrows, in shade, in dens dug into termite mounds. Their laughter may echo at night, but by day they sleep. Their energy is communal, their hierarchy strict. Even in rest, there is order. Rest in the predator world is not just physical, it is observational. It is preparation. It is social. It is safety. It is the calm before the hunt. In this way, the savannah teaches us that rest is not absence. It is presence with intention. During these resting hours, predators are often approached by birds who clean their fur or eat insects nearby. Cubs play. Eyes remain half open. Tails flick now and then, but mostly the world slows, and in that slowing, life prepares for its next movement. One of the most powerful things about seeing a predator at rest is the change in perception. We are used to drama, to action. But here, a lion rolls onto its back, paws in the air. A cheetah stretches long like a house cat. A hyena pup naps in a tangle of siblings. They are, in these moments, simply alive, vulnerable, still. To watch a resting predator is to feel the tempo of the land. It tells us that the savanna is not always about chase and survival. Sometimes it is about patience, about knowing when to move and when not to, about trusting the body to know when to pause. And so tonight, as you rest, imagine yourself among them, in tall grass, under acacia shade, a breeze touching your skin, the slow breathing of a pride nearby, the silence not empty, but full. The world is not asleep. It is watching, waiting, exhaling. Next we journey to the watering holes, the true heartbeats of the savanna, where predator and prey gather not to fight, but to drink. Tonight, we arrive at the heart of the savanna. Not a place of great size, but of immense importance. A patch of still water, a shallow pool surrounded by tracks and silence. The watering hole. In a landscape where rain is rare and rivers are seasonal, water holes are lifelines. Everything converges here. Antelope, elephants, lions, birds, insects, even the grass. A watering hole is more than a place to drink. It is a stage where nature unfolds slowly, deliberately, and without pause. During the dry season, water holes become the axis of life. Paths from every direction lead to their edges, worn into the ground by countless hooves and paws. Animals walk miles to reach them. Herds arrive in shifts. Some drink in the cool of morning, others wait for dusk. Timing is everything, but no one is ever truly alone at a waterhole. The air is tense, the silence deceptive. Prey animals approach with caution, sniffing the wind, scanning the edges. Their eyes dart, their ears flick. One wrong step, one moment too deep into the water, and the balance can shift. Because predators know these places too. Lions wait in the shadows. Crocodiles lie submerged. Leopards perch in nearby trees. Yet the need for water is greater than the fear. And so, each creature comes, one by one, or in cautious groups, to lower its head and drink. There is something ancient in that act, something that connects all living things. Elephants are frequent visitors. They do not only drink, but bathe, splash, and play. Their trunks spray arcs of muddy water. Calves stomp and tumble. Their arrival often shifts the dynamic at a waterhole. Their size commands space, but their presence offers a kind of pause. Most predators wait until the giants move on. Zebras and wildebeest often arrive together, relying on numbers for safety. Their patterns blur into one another, a living camouflage. Impalas and gazelles come in light-footed clusters, pausing often, retreating quickly. Giraffes drink awkwardly, splaying their legs, heads low and hearts vulnerable. Birds flutter at the edges, doves, hornbills, herons. Insects hover, skim, dive. Frogs emerge when water lingers long enough. Even trees benefit. Their roots reach deep into the soil near these wet spots, thriving where others struggle. The waterhole is not a pond. It is a community. And as night falls, the water remains. Still, dark, reflective. Hyenas come to drink. Leopards move silently across the far bank. Owls perch and observe. The stars mirror themselves in the water's surface. A ripple, a snort, a splash, and stillness again. In many ways, The waterhole teaches us about coexistence, about risk and reward, about patience and timing. It reminds us that even in a world of competition, there are moments when all must pause, lower their guard, and simply receive. So tonight, imagine standing at the edge of one such place. The air dry, the light low, the ground soft beneath your feet. Somewhere nearby, a bird sings once, then silence, then the sound of an animal drinking, not rushing, just drinking. Next, we turn to something invisible but ever present, the wind and the dust, and the stories they carry. Tonight we listen not to the roar of lions or the calls of birds, but to something softer, something that moves constantly, touches everything, and yet leaves no footprints. The wind, and with it, the dust. In the savannah, wind is not an afterthought. It is a language, a movement, a reminder that even in stillness, the world is alive. It blows across the plains in long sighs, sometimes warm, sometimes dry, sometimes sudden, pushing grasses into waves, sometimes steady, a constant hum in the ears. The wind shapes everything it touches. It carries scents of animals, of water, of fire. Predators use it to track prey. Prey use it to detect danger. A single change in direction, a gust from the wrong angle, can determine whether a hunt succeeds or fails. To live in the savannah is to pay attention to the wind. With the wind comes dust. Fine, red particles from the soil rise into the air, swirling in columns, painting the horizon in faded tones. Dust softens the landscape. It blurs edges, fills cracks, dulls the shine of rocks and leaves, and yet there is beauty in its impermanence. What the dust covers, it also preserves. What it hides, it also reveals when blown away again. Dust is the memory of the land, lifted and scattered. It holds traces of what passed before, footsteps, hoof prints, animal tracks. One breeze can erase the story, another can write a new one. And when the sun shines low, dust becomes gold, floating flecks of light, dancing grains. The wind, too, tells time. Morning breezes are different from the winds of dusk. The cool whispers that arrive before dawn carry with them the scent of dew, the hush of expectation. Midday winds are dry and sharp, pushing heat across the skin. Evening winds are slower, gentler, as if the land is exhaling after the sun. And there is a voice to the wind, a rustle in the grass, a creak in the trees, a flutter against your clothes. It sings in acacia branches and whistles through termite mounds. It hushes conversations, nudges at tents, reminds the ears to remain open. For the animals, the wind brings both comfort and caution. Birds use it to glide. Insects use it to disperse. Elephants face it when searching for scent. Lions wait until it blows their scent away from potential prey. Even fire listens to the wind. A single shift can spread flame across miles or smother it in place. To sit in the wind is to be part of the landscape. To feel it on your skin is to feel the breath of the land. And with it comes a kind of clarity. The world is not loud here. It speaks in rustles and sighs. As night falls, the wind often quiets. The dust settles into the earth again. The stars shine more clearly. But sometimes, just before sleep, a soft gust passes by your cheek, like the land reminding you, I am still here, still moving, still watching. So tonight, imagine lying still as the wind brushes past. Feel the fine dust settling around you. Nothing harsh, just motion, just presence, just the savannah breathing through the air. Next, we turn to a figure often misunderstood, but essential to the rhythm of night. the hyena and the mysteries it carries with the darkness. Night in the savanna belongs to many creatures, but few are more misunderstood than the hyena. With its uneven gait, echoing calls, and reputation shaped more by myth than truth, the hyena often plays the villain in stories. But tonight, we step quietly into its world and see it not as a scavenger or a shadow, but as something far more complex, a creature of balance, of strategy, and of the night. As the sun sets, the air cools and the light fades into shades of gray and indigo. This is the hyena's time. While others settle into rest, the hyena awakens. Its senses sharpen. Its body, built for endurance and power, begins to move. A spotted silhouette against the dusk. Hyenas are not just one thing. In Africa, there are several types: the spotted hyena, the brown hyena, and the striped hyena, each with its own behaviors and habitats. But the spotted hyena, found across much of the savanna, is the one we know best. Or think we do. Spotted hyenas live in clans, tightly knit social groups, led not by males, but by females. Matriarchal society is rare in the animal world, but here it is the norm. Females are larger, stronger, and dominate social interactions. Their hierarchy is strict, maintained through vocalizations, body language, and occasional confrontation. And then there is the sound, the laugh of the hyena. It is not laughter in the human sense, but a high-pitched call used in communication to signal alarm, to locate clan members, to express submission or excitement. At night, this sound carries across vast distances, strange, eerie, unforgettable, a chorus of yips, whoops, and giggles that punctuates the dark. Though often portrayed as scavengers, hyenas are skilled hunters. In fact, spotted hyenas catch most of their own food. They hunt in coordinated groups, relying on stamina rather than speed. They can run for miles, wearing down prey with persistence. Their strong jaws and digestive systems allow them to consume nearly every part of what they kill: bones, hooves, hide. Nothing is wasted. Scavenging, when it does happen, is not shameful. In the savanna, waste is rare. Hyenas clean the land, consuming what others leave behind. They are recyclers of the wild, ensuring that death leads swiftly back to life. In this role, they are essential. Their dens are often located in abandoned aardvark burrows or dug into the base of termite mounds. Pups are raised communally, with mothers nursing only their own but rearing them together in shared spaces. The young grow quickly, learning from the clan, watching, mimicking. To watch a hyena at night is to see grace and contradiction. They move with awkward precision. Their eyes catch starlight. Their ears twitch constantly. They are never fully at ease, always listening. Their world is layered with risk and opportunity. And in many cultures, hyenas have occupied a strange space in folklore. Sometimes feared, sometimes revered, associated with magic, with the boundary between the living and the dead. Perhaps because they appear where life has left. Perhaps because they arrive after the noise, after the chase, to finish what others could not. But there is dignity in their role. They survive not by luck, but by adaptation, by learning, by enduring. They are not beautiful in the traditional sense, but they are powerful, intelligent, and completely at home in the night. So as you lie back tonight, imagine the dry grass brushing your side, the stars overhead, and somewhere in the distance, a call unlike any other. Not threatening, just wild, just real. The hyena, singing the night. Next, we'll soften our senses further and listen to the quiet orchestra that plays when all else sleeps. The sounds of the savanna after dark. Close your eyes now and let your ears take the lead. In the savanna, sound does not rush. It lingers. It travels. It fills the space between trees, flows across the grass, and weaves itself into the silence. At night, especially, sound becomes the primary storyteller, and the tale it tells is one of movement, life, and mystery. The first sounds are often soft, the whisper of dry grass swaying in the wind, the distant rustle of leaves stirred by a passing breeze. Then comes the chorus of insects, thousands of tiny legs and wings creating a background hum that is both soothing and endless. Crickets chirp in steady rhythm, cicadas buzz in pulses, and beetles scuttle unseen. Somewhere nearby, a nightjar begins to sing. Its call is strange and hollow, like a question asked in the dark. Frogs answer from puddles and watering holes, their voices rising and falling like laughter and sighs. A distant owl hoots once, slow and deliberate. The soundscape of the savanna is not loud, but it is full. Every noise has a place, a purpose. A branch snapping might be a leopard moving through the brush. A splash could be a warthog wading into a shallow pool. Even silence means something. It holds breath. It listens. Then there are the mammals. A low grunt from a sleeping lion. The deep, resonant rumble of elephants communicating over miles. A hyena's cackle fading into the night. These sounds aren't constant, but when they come, they reshape the entire atmosphere. One lion roar can silence a whole hillside. One sudden bark from a zebra can set a herd moving. And then there are the unexpected sounds. The rustling of a pangolin, the drumming of rain on acacia leaves, the rhythmic thud of hooves as wildebeest pass by in the dark. Even the wind has different tones depending on what it moves through, whistling through hollow logs, whirring against tall grasses, sighing along dusty paths. People who spend time in the savanna often say they learn to sleep with one ear open, not from fear, but from wonder. The land does not go silent. It shifts from day to night with a different melody. And for those who listen, it is a lullaby. During certain seasons when the rains come, the sound changes again. Thunder rolls slowly over the land. Rain falls in sheets, drumming on the earth. Streams and rivers awaken with gentle gurgles. And when the storm passes, frogs cheer loudly and birds sing as if the world has begun again. There is no orchestra like this in cities. No playlist quite like the one composed by earth, wind, and fur. The savanna's music is not about volume or repetition. It is about rhythm, about connection, about being part of something larger. So tonight, as you drift, imagine lying beneath a tree. The ground is warm. The stars are above. And around you, life continues in song. Not for an audience, not for applause, just because this is what the land does. It breathes, it sounds, it is alive. Next, we'll explore the smallest of players in this great system. The tiny creatures often overlooked, but absolutely essential to the savanna's harmony. Tonight, we lower our gaze. Beneath the towering giraffes and prowling lions, under the grass and between the cracks of dry earth, lies another world, the world of the small. A quiet kingdom of creatures so overlooked, we often forget they're there. But they are, always. And without them, the savanna would collapse. We begin with the insects, the most numerous inhabitants of this landscape. Termites, as we've seen, are builders and recyclers, but they're not alone. Ants march in complex columns, mapping the terrain with scent trails. Some harvest seeds, Others farm fungus, and some are warriors, defending their territory with astonishing coordination. Each has a role. Each obeys a rhythm that predates civilization. Beetles roll balls of dung across the savanna. Dung beetles may seem comedic at first glance, but they play a vital role in keeping the land clean, recycling nutrients, and enriching the soil. They bury waste underground where it decomposes and feeds future life. Some species even navigate by the Milky Way, pushing their prize in perfect lines under starlight. Then, there are the butterflies and moths, fluttering from flower to flower, unnoticed pollinators in a world where color is often sparse. Their wings catch the sun in flashes of orange, white, and blue. They drink, they drift, they disappear into the brush. To follow one is to remember that beauty often flies just above the obvious. Bees buzz near acacias and wildflowers, gathering nectar, transferring life. Wasps build delicate nests beneath leaves and eaves. Flies hover in clouds, some pestilent, others harmless. Mosquitoes come at dusk, drawn to heat and scent. Each has a niche, each a function. Beneath the soil, a different kingdom reigns. Earthworms tunnel through the dirt, aerating it, enriching it with castings. Millipedes and centipedes curl under logs. Beetle larvae squirm in damp hollows. It is dark down there, but not empty. Life thrives in miniature. Spiders weave between grasses and hang from low branches. Their silk glistens with dew each morning. Some lie in wait, invisible, on tree bark. Others dig burrows and wait with patience unmatched. Scorpions, glowing under ultraviolet light, patrol the night with pincers poised. Each of these creatures has survived by staying small, by mastering stillness or speed. Their lives are brief, but vital. They pollinate, decompose, feed others, shape the very ground. They are the gears in the great machine of the savanna. And yet, how often are they noticed? A lizard darts across the path. A gecko clings to the bark. Frogs croak from unseen puddles. A praying mantis sways with the grass, mimicking its motion perfectly. Camouflage is an art in this world. Being small means being unseen, and surviving because of it. Insects and tiny reptiles are not alone. Small mammals also make their homes here. Mice, shrews, mongooses, they move fast, nest deep, and feed the world above. Owls and snakes depend on them. They vanish in daylight, but emerge under moonlight, rustling among leaves. There's a beauty in this invisibility, in the ability to do so much, so quietly, to live entire lives that shape the land without ever drawing attention. So as we lie still tonight, let us shrink in our imaginations. Let us walk between blades of grass, climb into tunnels of sand, pause in the shadow of a beetle. The world of the small is not lesser, it is foundational. In the next part, we'll meet the unexpected engineers and cleaners of the land and see how these tiny creatures help hold together the great web of life. Tonight, we light a match in our minds, not to burn, but to understand. In many landscapes, fire is feared. It is seen as destructive, dangerous, final. But here in the savanna, fire is something different. It is not just an event. It is a season, a rhythm, a necessary breath. Every year during the dry months, fires sweep across the savanna. Some are sparked by lightning, others, historically, by people, for clearing land, stimulating growth, or protecting against larger uncontrolled blazes. However they begin, their arrival is expected. Their presence is ancient. The grasses catch first. Dry and brittle, they ignite quickly. Flames run low across the ground, skipping over bare earth and around trees. The fire crackles, smokes, dances, It moves with surprising speed, but often without the towering inferno image we associate with forests. These are not walls of fire, but blankets of heat that sweep and pass. And what's left behind is not ruin, it is renewal. Fire clears old growth, dead leaves, fallen branches. It makes way for new shoots whose nutrients are unlocked by the heat. Ash enriches the soil. Sunlight touches the ground again. Within days, sometimes hours, green begins to return. First in thin blades, then in waves. Plants in the savanna are adapted to fire. Some even require it. Certain seeds only germinate after being exposed to intense heat. Others need the smoke to trigger growth. Trees like the acacia have thick bark to resist flames. Grasses grow from the base, allowing the tops to burn while roots remain safe. Animals, too, have learned the timing. Many flee ahead of the fire, sensing it through scent or temperature shifts. Birds take flight. Mammals move to safer ground. Some, like the secretary bird or kestrel, follow the flames, hunting insects and rodents flushed out by the heat. After the fire, life returns quickly. Herbivores are drawn to the fresh growth. Grazers arrive in herds. Predators follow them. The circle turns again. Fire is not without danger, of course. An uncontrolled blaze can consume nesting grounds, alter migration paths, damage fragile ecosystems. But in balance, fire is a caretaker, a sweeper of the old, a starter of the new. People who live near or within the savanna have long known this. Indigenous communities have used controlled burns for generations. Their knowledge, passed down through observation and experience, understands fire not as an enemy, but as a partner, a tool of respect and renewal. There is a beauty in the post-fire landscape: blackened earth, smoke rising in gentle spirals, charcoal trees standing in silence, and then color, small shoots, bright flowers, a single butterfly, a world reborn. So as you rest tonight, imagine the warmth of the land, the flicker of distant light, the sound of flame, not in fury, but in cleansing. And beyond the burn, the first green returning, soft, determined, alive. Next, we'll walk alongside the striped watchers of the plains, the zebras, and the quiet unity that keeps them safe. Tonight, we follow stripes through the grass. Zebras, with their bold black and white patterns, seem almost too vivid for the savanna. In a landscape of golds, browns, and greens, their coloring feels like contrast incarnate. And yet, they belong perfectly. Not just in form, but in function, in rhythm, in unity. To understand zebras is to understand the power of the group. A single zebra is alert, cautious, sensitive to movement and sound. But a herd of zebras becomes something else entirely, a living organism of watchfulness and cooperation. Each member sees a different angle. Each one hears a different sound. Together, they form a ring of awareness. And this is why zebras never sleep alone. In the wild, danger comes swiftly and silently. A lion hidden in tall grass, a hyena prowling in the dark. For a grazing animal, the act of sleep is vulnerability. The only defense? Trust in others. Zebra herds are composed of smaller family units called harems. Typically one male, several females, and their young. These groups travel together, eat together, and rest together. While some sleep, others remain standing, ears twitching, eyes open. They take turns resting, always keeping one part of the herd alert. It is a choreography of survival. But the cooperation doesn't end there. Zebras often form mixed herds with wildebeest, impalas, and other grazers. Their different strengths complement each other. Zebras have strong vision and hearing. Wildebeest have a keen sense of smell. Together, they create a multi-sensory defense system. Even their stripes serve a purpose. To us, each pattern is unique. To predators, a herd of moving zebras becomes a visual puzzle. The stripes blur together, making it difficult to target a single animal. Scientists also believe stripes may help with temperature regulation and even deter biting insects. During migration or long travels in search of water, zebras rely on memory and social cohesion. They follow elders who know the routes. Mothers guide foals. Injured members are sometimes defended. Their loyalty is not loud, but steady. At night, they find places to rest in relative safety, open areas with good visibility. And as they sleep in brief intervals, often standing, there is always motion. A foot stomp, an ear flick, a head lifting. The herd is never fully still. Their calls are distinctive, sharp barks, high-pitched whinnies, and deep snorts. These sounds carry across distances, signaling danger, location, or reassurance. Even in rest, they are speaking. Zebras also groom one another. They nibble gently along necks and backs, strengthening bonds and calming nerves. This mutual grooming builds trust. It is affection in a world where touch can mean everything. To see zebras resting together is to see a circle of care, not fearlessness, but shared responsibility. They do not rely on speed alone to escape predators. They rely on each other. And so, as you lie down tonight, imagine a moonlit plain, stripes shimmering in the low light, heads bowed, legs folded, a rustle, a sigh, a shift. One zebra dozes while another watches. The balance never breaks. Next, we turn our eyes to time itself and the strange passage of seasons in a land without snow. A rhythm marked not by months, but by rains and dust. Tonight, we speak of time, but not the ticking of clocks or the changing of calendars. In the Savanna, time passes differently. There is no snow to mark winter, no falling leaves to signal autumn. Here, the seasons are written in rain and dust. The Savanna lives by a cycle of two great forces, the wet season and the dry. These are not just shifts in weather, they are shifts in life itself. The land breathes with water and holds its breath without it. The dry season begins with retreat. Clouds vanish, rivers shrink, the sun intensifies. Each day becomes a mirror of the last, hot, bright, still. Grass turns from green to gold to gray. Trees drop their leaves, waterholes recede into cracked mud, and the air fills with dust. This is a time of patience and endurance. Animals travel farther to find food and drink. The land seems quieter, but it is not asleep. It is conserving. Many species adjust their activity, becoming more nocturnal to avoid the heat. Insects burrow, seeds harden, flowers close. Predators become more active near the few remaining water sources. Herds gather tightly. The competition increases, but so does the cooperation. In scarcity, alliances are strengthened. Migratory species begin to move, following ancient paths toward distant promise. And then, one day, a change. The sky darkens. The air feels different. A distant rumble. A breeze that carries moisture. The smell of petrichor. That sweet, earthy scent that means rain is coming. The first storms arrive with drama. Thunder crashes. Lightning forks the sky. And then water. Heavy, soaking, relentless. The dust disappears. The air cools. The land exhales. This is the beginning of the wet season, and with it, everything changes. Within days, green returns. Seeds that lay dormant for months awaken. Grasses surge upward. Flowers bloom with sudden color. Trees unfurl new leaves. Waterholes refill. Streams begin to flow again. The soundscape transforms. Frogs sing, birds call, insects buzz with renewed purpose. For animals, the wet season means abundance. Food is everywhere. Grazers grow fat. Predators raise their young. Calving season begins for many herbivores, timed to coincide with peak food availability. The savanna feels alive in every direction. Rain is not constant, but frequent. It arrives in bursts, intense showers followed by light, humid breezes. Clouds gather in the afternoons, often bursting before sunset. Rainbows arc across the sky. Thunderstorms roll over the plains like slow parades. This pattern continues for weeks, sometimes months. Pools appear where there were none. Temporary wetlands attract birds from far-off places. Migratory species settle into new routines, and everywhere life pulses. But even in abundance, the savanna remains alert. Wet soil can trap the unwary. Insects flourish, including the biting and stinging kind. Diseases rise with the humidity, and for some species, too much water can mean loss of burrows or shelter. The wet season is not ease. It is opportunity, and it is short. In the next part, we'll explore what happens as the rains fade and how life prepares once more for the return of dryness and dust. As the weeks pass, the rains begin to wane. Showers grow lighter, less frequent. The sky turns a paler shade of blue. The earth, once soaked and teeming, begins to firm. Puddles shrink, creeks dry, and slowly the golden hue of the savanna returns. This transition is not abrupt. It unfolds in quiet steps. Leaves lose their sheen. Grass, once thick and green, begins to fade. Flowers close. Migratory birds take wing again, returning to far-off climates. The song of the frogs lessens. The buzz of insects dulls. Animals sense the shift long before we would. Herds begin to move, anticipating the drying rivers. Predators adjust their patterns, focusing once more on water holes. Nests are abandoned. Holes are dug. Everything prepares for what comes next, the dry. By now, the young born during the rains are stronger. Calves have grown. Wings have stretched. Predators have trained their cubs. The land, replenished, has completed its cycle of birth. Now begins the cycle of waiting. But even in this transition, life continues. It simply changes pace. Elephants dig for water, using memory to find hidden springs. Antelope shift to browsing on shrubs and tougher vegetation. Birds adjust their diets. Seeds harden, preparing for another dormant stretch. Trees close their leaves to conserve moisture, and the dust returns. Slowly at first, a fine layer on leaves, a light coating on fur. Then more steadily. Winds carry it across the plains. The sun becomes sharper, less filtered. Shadows lengthen. The rhythm of the day adjusts again. Activity moves to the edges. Early morning and twilight become the preferred times. Despite the hardship, there is a strange beauty to this season. The palette softens. Colors fade into earth tones. Footprints appear more clearly. The skies, clear without clouds, stretch vast and endless. Night becomes crisper. The stars shine with clarity, untouched by humidity. For those who know how to look, signs of resilience are everywhere. Thorny plants store water. Underground tubers wait in darkness. Small mammals retreat to burrows, emerging only when safe. The savanna doesn't stop. It adapts. And even in its driest moments, the land remembers. Where rain once fell, new seeds have settled. Where rivers once ran, minerals have gathered. Where life once surged, the memory of that abundance remains waiting. This cycle of wet and dry, abundance and scarcity is more than weather. It is a rhythm older than the creatures who live by it. It is the heartbeat of the land. There is no snow here, no frost, no winter in the traditional sense. But there is seasonality. There is change. There is renewal. So tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine the warmth of the land after the rains, the hush of wind through dry leaves, the soft crunch of dry grass beneath hooves, and the promise that, once again, water will return. Life will bloom. The rhythm will begin anew. Next, we'll rise again to look at the silent protectors of the savanna, the acacia trees, and their quiet alliances with unlikely guardians. Pause beneath a tree, not just for shade, but for wonder. The acacia tree, with its wide umbrella canopy and delicate leaves, is one of the most recognizable figures on the savanna. Its silhouette defines the horizon at dusk. Its thorns warn off the unwelcome. But what few realize is that the acacia is not alone. It has guardians, tiny, tireless, and fierce. Let's begin with the tree itself. There are many species of acacia, but most share common traits: thorny branches, small compound leaves, and flat-topped crowns that stretch wide to capture light while casting shade below. These trees thrive in the arid and semi-arid climates of the savanna, their roots stretching deep to find water. Their thorns serve as defense. Sharp, long, and plentiful, they deter herbivores like giraffes and elephants from browsing too heavily. But thorns alone are not enough. So the acacia has evolved a partnership, a living alliance with ants. Certain species of acacia produce hollow thorns or swollen nodes, which serve as homes for ants. In exchange for shelter, the ants defend the tree. When an animal begins to nibble, the ants swarm out, biting, stinging, driving the intruder away. Even large herbivores hesitate before testing such a defense. The tree also feeds its protectors. Special glands on the leaves excrete nectar, not for pollination, but purely to nourish the ants. It is a rare example of a plant growing food not for itself, but for its bodyguards. This mutualism is more than a clever trick. It's a relationship honed over millennia. The tree shapes the ant's behavior. The ants shape the tree's survival. In this alliance, both win. But there is a balance. If the ant population becomes too aggressive, or if other species invade, the relationship can falter. Some ant species prune away other insects and even nearby plants, sometimes harming pollinators or reducing biodiversity. The tree must manage not just threats from the outside, but the behavior of its own allies. Beyond ants, the acacia also supports birds and insects. Weaver birds often hang their nests from its branches, safe from many predators. Insects buzz among its flowers. Monkeys take shelter in its canopy. The tree is a community, a quiet city in the open plains. Its leaves are small and delicate, minimizing water loss. Its pods provide food for many species. Even fallen branches are used by scavengers, beetles, and fungi. Every part of the acacia has purpose. During the dry season, the acacia sheds leaves to conserve water. Its bark thickens. Its defenses remain sharp. But even when bare, it stands strong. And when the rains return, it bursts into green again, its flowers fragrant and bright. Some species, like the whistling thorn acacia, even produce holes in their thorns that catch the wind and emit a high-pitched sound, a soft whistle that can be heard in the breeze. It is not known exactly why this occurs, but the effect is haunting and beautiful. The tree sings in the wind as if calling out its place in the world. As night falls on the savanna, imagine yourself beneath an acacia. Its branches stretch above. The stars peek through its canopy. A breeze carries its scent. And somewhere nearby, a small ant patrols its home, defending a tree that feeds it, shelters it, needs it. Next, we'll step into the human world to meet the nomadic people who have lived alongside this land for centuries, adapting and thriving with wisdom shaped by the savanna itself. To understand the savanna fully, one must also listen to its human voices, especially those who walk it still, step by step, in rhythm with the land. Nomadic peoples have called the savanna home for generations. Among them are the Maasai of East Africa, known for their tall stature, bright red robes, and deep knowledge of cattle. But the Maasai are not alone. Across the savanna, many ethnic groups, the Samburu, the Hadza, the Tuareg, the Fulani, live lives shaped by movement, by adaptation, and by memory passed through storytelling rather than maps. The savanna does not offer abundance freely. It requires knowing where water will appear, when grass will grow, and how herds will move. Nomads read the land the way others read books. Every trail, every crack in the soil, every change in wind direction holds meaning. They are not wanderers without aim. Their paths are old, their routes measured by season, history, and survival. Livestock is often central. Cattle, goats, and camels serve not only as food and trade, but also as status and legacy. Herds are moved to avoid overgrazing, to reach distant pastures, or to follow the rain. This mobility allows the land to recover and ensures that people remain in harmony with what nature can sustainably provide. Shelters are temporary and adaptable. Made from branches, hides, or canvas, they are built to be moved, rebuilt, and repaired with ease. Cooking is done over open fires. Meals are simple, tied to what can be gathered, hunted, or carried. Water is cherished. Tools are minimal, but chosen with care. Everything has a purpose. Knowledge is practical and poetic. Nomadic children learn from their elders how to treat illness with local herbs, how to read animal tracks, how to predict the weather by the shape of clouds or the scent of the wind. Ceremonies mark stages of life: birth, initiation, marriage, and death. Songs are sung to cattle. Stories are told to the stars. For many of these communities, the stars are not just lights in the sky, but guides, maps, and ancestors. The night sky is a companion during long walks. The moon determines when to travel, when to rest. Time is measured in events: when the rains came early, when the lion took the calf, when the old man walked no more. There is strength in flexibility. When droughts come, they shift. When rivers dry, they adapt. When the modern world presses in, they find ways to hold on to their culture while engaging with change. Some now carry mobile phones to check weather patterns or market prices. Others participate in ecotourism or conservation efforts. But their roots remain deep. Misunderstood by outsiders, nomadic peoples are often seen as relics, as fading traditions. Yet they are some of the most resilient, resourceful, and ecologically aware communities in existence. Their footsteps do not scar the earth. They move with it, not against it. In their songs, the savanna speaks. In their fireside stories, the landscape remembers. In their silence, there is listening to the animals, to the wind, to the old paths beneath their feet. As the fire dies low and the stars stretch across the sky, imagine a figure walking across the open plain, a stick in hand, a child at their side, a herd behind them, and ahead, only sky and memory. Next, we turn to the final hours of the day, to the golden light that transforms everything before darkness returns. There is a moment just before nightfall when the savanna holds its breath. The heat softens, the wind stills, and the world seems dipped in honey. This is the golden hour, a brief window when everything changes, not just in light, but in feeling. The golden hour is not a specific time on a clock. It is a mood, a hush, a slow exhale. As the sun lowers on the horizon, the angle of its light shifts. Harsh shadows become long and soft. Colors intensify. Dust in the air catches the light, creating halos around trees, animals, even people. The world glows. Photographers love this time for its warmth and magic, but long before cameras, it was already sacred. For the animals of the savanna, this hour signals transition from day to night, from action to alertness. Grazers make their final moves. Predators begin to stir. Elephants often head toward water for one last drink. Giraffes graze in silence. Zebras group tightly. Birds sing louder, then quieter, then disappear altogether. Insects begin to take over the soundscape. It is the great exchange. For humans, this time has always held power. In nomadic cultures, fires are lit. Stories begin. Meals are shared. Children are called close. The golden hour is both ending and beginning. The pause between what has been and what will be. The temperature drops slightly, offering relief from the day's intensity. Breezes pick up, gentle and cool. The scent of dry grass mixes with the earthy aroma of soil and ash. Smoke from cooking fires rises in ribbons. Eyes adjust to the dimming light. In this hour, the savanna feels especially alive. Not loud, but present. Every movement matters. A lion stretching in the shade is no longer resting. It is preparing. A bird circling overhead is finding its final perch. A herd drinking is calculating how far to move before full dark sets in. And the sky? The sky becomes a canvas. Blues deepen, oranges blaze, pinks and purples streak across the clouds. The sun flattens into a glowing disk, then slips below the horizon. Twilight follows, fast and absolute. There is a saying among some African communities that the golden hour is when ancestors walk, when the light is neither day nor night and the veil between worlds is thin. It is a time to remember, a time to give thanks, a time to prepare. For those resting on the savanna, this hour is a gift. To watch it unfold is to be reminded that time does not always need to rush. That beauty can come in silence. That endings, too, can be soft. Next, we arrive at the close of this journey, where rest is not just survival, but sanctuary, the savanna at sleep. When darkness falls, the savanna transforms. What was open becomes veiled. What was active becomes still. And what was hidden steps into motion. Night on the savanna is not an end, it is another beginning. The shift into sleep is gradual. As the last hues of twilight fade, the first stars appear. The moon, if present, casts long silver shadows across the grass. Trees become silhouettes. The air cools. Sound, once scattered by heat and activity, begins to carry farther. For many creatures, this is the time to retreat. Zebras huddle together. Impalas and gazelles lie low, ears twitching with every whisper of wind. Birds tuck their heads beneath wings. Insects chorus into the night. Crickets, cicadas, and katydids weaving a soft sonic fabric over the land. Elephants often continue to walk, their great shapes ghost-like in the moonlight. They sleep little, moving with quiet deliberation in search of safer places to rest. Giraffes sleep in short bursts, often standing, their long necks swaying in dreamless motion. But while some settle, others rise. Lions stretch, yawn, and begin their prowl. Hyenas call out, eerie whoops and giggles echoing in the darkness. Leopards, solitary and silent, descend from trees to hunt. Night is not a time of peace for all. It is when the balance tips. Still, the savanna is not chaos in the dark. It is layered, patterned, intentional. Nocturnal animals have evolved to thrive here. Owls with silent wings, bats navigating by sound, insects that flash, click, or hum to communicate and attract. Eyes glow, shadows shift, even the plants play a part. Some flowers open only at night, pollinated by moths or bats. Certain trees release their scent more strongly after sunset, drawing creatures that feed or nest. Dew begins to gather, offering tiny drops of water by morning. The human experience of the savanna at night is one of listening. Vision narrows, sound dominates. A rustle means movement, a snort means warning. The crack of a branch can still a breath. Around the campfire, stories continue, often tales of the night, of spirits, of survival, of stars. Sleep in the savanna is never absolute. It is light, it is brief, it is shared. Species take turns keeping watch. Even in rest, the land remains aware. And above it all, the sky stretches vast and ancient. Without city lights, the stars seem infinite. Constellations once used for navigation wheel overhead. The Milky Way pours across the sky. It is humbling. It is timeless. This is not the sleep of escape. It is the sleep of rhythm, of participating in the pulse of a place where every life, from the beetle in the grass to the lion on the ridge, knows its role. In the second part, we will move deeper into this nighttime world, where dreams blend with instinct, and the quiet moments between breath and shadow tell their own stories. The deeper hours of the night arrive, and the savanna reveals another face. Slower, quieter, but no less alive. The dark is not a blanket that hides the land. It is a canvas on which different rhythms are painted. Between midnight and the first whispers of dawn, the temperature drops noticeably. Breath fogs in the air. Movement slows. Even nocturnal hunters become still. Lions rest between patrols. Leopards stash their kills and vanish into shadow. Hyenas dig into old bones, their laughter quiet now. The urgency of early night gives way to a hush, a vast, breathing stillness. Tiny mammals like spring hares emerge briefly, hopping in silence across the moonlit plains. Aardvarks nose along the ground in search of ants. Genets and civets move like shadows, their eyes catching and reflecting starlight. In the trees, bush babies call softly. On the ground, porcupines rustle the underbrush. Insects dominate this hour, not with volume, but with texture. Wings flutter, legs scrape, soft chirps pulse in waves. This ambient sound, constant and subtle, is the true music of the sleeping savanna. It is not silence, but serenity. Sleep among animals varies. Some enter deep rest, like birds perched on thorny branches. Others, like buffalo, lie down for only moments before rising again. Alertness never fades completely. The threat of predator or accident always lingers. But rest is still sacred. Under a canopy of stars, many animals experience the closest thing to peace the wild offers. Moments where the land feels suspended, where breath slows, where the night watches back, not with menace, but with memory. This is also a time of dreams. Though science cannot fully explain animal dreaming, evidence suggests it occurs. A sleeping dog's paws twitch as it runs in its sleep. An elephant's eyelids flutter. Even small birds seem to shift as if caught in imagined motion. Dreaming may be the way memory is stored, stress is released, or simply a flicker of the day revisited. For humans, too, this time is dream-laden. The stillness of the savanna, combined with the depth of its silence, encourages a kind of meditative rest. Far from artificial light, far from noise, the mind can drift more freely. Thoughts stretch, worries dissolve. In this space, sleep is not just biological, it is restorative. Dawn approaches slowly, the eastern sky lightens, stars begin to fade, one by one. The breeze shifts, sounds change, first a single bird call, then another. Night ends not with a bang, but with a breath. The savanna begins again. As the sun rises, the sleeping world stretches, shakes off the dew, and resumes its day. The cycle, ancient and enduring, continues. In sleep, the savanna does not vanish. It deepens. It dreams. It remembers. And now, with your eyes closing and your breath steady, you too are part of that rhythm, woven into the quiet fabric of a night that belongs to more than sleep. It belongs to stillness and to peace.